Gentlemen, thank you for coming today. I'm going to invite our first speaker, Mr. Damian Tang, to start on his presentation. Let us put our hands together to invite him. Thank you.
Okay, a very good afternoon to everyone. Before you all decided to, leave this place or think about whether, is this relevant to me, I must say that, okay, the presentation or what I'm going to speak about is not in my field of profession alone. Because I'm going to, talk about, of course, from experience, and also what I think design breakthroughs comes from. You see, a lot of us, when we go into a design presentation or design talks, we tend to choose what the profession we're in, and we go for those talks. And this is when, I find that as a designer, personally, I'm a landscape architect. You first of all, you would think, what do you and I have in common? So, and that questions really come about for me and thinking about it when I'm doing this presentation to talk to you. So, a lot of us, when we look at a design, and we even think about how we can enhance or really push our design boundaries, we often think from where and what we do. So, just let me give you and let you know what I do as a landscape architect and who I am. I'm the president for Singapore Institute of Landscape Architects, and I work in the government National Parks Board. So what I do is really I design parks, gardens, greenery. And you might see that as a landscape architect, we deal a lot with plants, we deal a lot with gardens, and usually this is what people think that's all we do. But many of us do not know there are a lot more that landscape architects do. So some of the very common things which I'm going to tell you, is like, okay, parks, gardens, plants, and beside that, we transform, we influence social behaviors, we make people think about social spaces and how we can really create something from nothing at all. And of course, we look at environment, we look at our cities, we do the master plans, and very often we even go into spaces that we don't really think about. And I must also share with you, do you think that landscape architects do something like that, like a science fiction kind of gardens, like a futuristic garden or fantasy gardens? And this is one of the images that of my fantasy garden, which I won Gold and Best of Show in the Singapore Garden Festival, where I will share with you very later on how I get my inspiration and what is the thinking behind. So my inspiration definitely, you can see, comes from Avatar. And there are a lot more which I will go into it. And then the next one is how I created a fairy tale garden. 5 fairy tales in one garden. From the eye of a movie director, from the eye of a storyteller. And this is when my whole presentation talking about design breakthrough is really coming from mindsets, expertise that we bring along in our process and to our final product. So a lot of us as a designers, be it you are a graphic designer, a fashion designer, a game designer, interior designer, architect, whatever. Okay, there is something that is common in all of us. So this is where I really want to share with you and probably let you think about, after my presentation, on your own, what could you really be as a designer in your own field? Because it's like, putting yourself, you are a graphic designer, think about it, for a while. Be a game designer as a graphic designer. Be a fashion designer as a graphic designer. And that is when the unexpected results and design breakthroughs will happen. I will elaborate more. So, as a designers, we have 2 parts. One is the creativity part, one is the technical parts. When it comes to technicalities, there are all the basic things we need to know as a designers. Like who are buyers, the tools, the trends, materials, your principles, software, hardware, anything. I mean, there are all these things that we really need to know. And because these are things that make it functional and make your process rigor, and also, what you studied for or during your education. How about the other part, the creativity? This is the part where it's really fluid. This is the part where it's really organic. And this is usually how we tend to go for talks, go for, get inspiration through books, and even look at different areas to so-called mimic certain designs. But how well are we doing in this area? And have a little thought to think about what are all those great designers out there. How different are they? And you probably can start to see the way they think, the mindsets they have is something that not any ordinary designers, which is why they have breakthroughs in all the designs. So in my presentation to you, come from where you are in your own respective field and expertise. Because I may speak about landscape architecture, but my topic and the body of content is really not just coming from there. Because I'm committed that today, when you go back, you actually bring along some of this thinking into your own field. So understand your audience, users, consumers are the very basics. And you need to know what they think about, and during the entire presentation, bring along some of these things that you actually have done in your own process. Now, creativity is a very big word. And what brings creativity is through design. So, how many of us actually look at design as an output? When we say, oh, this is my design, it seems like this is the final thing, this is the final product. How many of us see it as an action? Okay, I will do my design, or I'll design something. As an action means actually as a process. So, have we looked at design as a product and also as a process? And how can we do things differently? So what is considered a design breakthrough? It is really something unpredictable. In fact, you yourself may not know what you can really come up with in any field of design. And there is no standard way of producing it. If there is a standard way of producing it, you will not have breakthrough, because when you can do things A to Z every day the same way, how would your design be different? And definitely, for a design breakthrough to happen, it definitely will have a great impact. An impact on the people you design for, the clients you design for. So remember these three things. The design breakthrough is something unpredictable, no standard way of producing it, and has great impact. So with that, you can achieve quantum leap results, something not happened before, unprecedented and unexpected. Because we will not know if we actually can even think or imagine our product to be of certain things, the things that we design is of a vision to be a certain way. That means you already have that in mind, and that won't be a quantum leap. That is based on your experience or something you've seen before. And it's very often that something that you probably copy, or something that you say that something you actually referred to in the past. Now, in order for me to share what those things are, or talk about the design breakthrough, I have to let you go into my world first. Okay, this is when the Singapore Garden Festival 2010. I won the Fantasy Garden category. My garden is called the Mysterious Jungle of Pandora. Okay, this competition is this is an invited competition where world-class designers must win must win certain national flower shows before they can actually participate in this show. And the competitors are really Chelsea flower shows, New Zealand shows, Melbourne shows, and people with really a lot of experience and have won a lot of shows. This is my first show, first time doing a garden show. And can you imagine the pressure I'm facing and the things that people think that, who is he to win any of this, or even lucky to be in there. But I'm committed to what I believe and what I like to do. So this is inspired by the Avatar. When I watched the movie Avatar, I really look at the magical jungle, the nightscape. That inspires me. But of course, with inspirations, you need to turn it into reality, or from dream into reality. And there are a lot of things you need to know. So putting myself in there means that I need to know how certain things are being created, how the movies are being perceived, how my garden should be perceived, and by the time I actually turn it into something else. And all the lighting effects, all the, the way things are placed together, and also recreating the story to make it yours. So I definitely start off with images that I search from the internet, online, images that really give me the idea and how I actually put it into using materials of my own, and even create materials that people would never have seen before. So I have worked with an artist, a sculpture, lighting consultants. I have worked with engineers in this project. And by the way, this project is a 6-month project. It's very tight. From the time of conceptualization to the time of implementation is only 6 months. And to bring this show together, I have to source from many countries. I have to actually go into a lot of research, create a magical effect where you actually step on the floor, the light glows, to how all the sounds and water features all come together. And of course, as I said, the technical parts, there is design principles to it. So how I employ design principles in the landscape is really looking at the 4 aspects: prospect, wonder, refuge, surprise. See, I would like to talk a little bit into this one because in every design, like whether it's a fashion, it's a game design, there is something you can actually put it into your own field of your profession. Because if everyone does the same thing, comes through from the same education in a particular field, everyone knows everything the same way or do things the same way. So how can you stand out? So let me go into say, what is a prospect in a garden? It's really how you present a front. The entire garden is only 10 by 10 square meters, so which is 100 square meters. So how you present the front, such that when the viewers look at it, it gives you a wow effect. And wonder, when your viewers actually look at that there is something that captures them and they really wonder how you actually created that. And refuge. Refuge is something where you want to make people curious. They want to bring themselves into the space. And then, of course, lastly, there's the surprise. At every walk of three steps, you have to see certain surprises and even little details. So whether these principles apply in your own field, I don't know. So you have to think about it for yourself. So together, I'm not going to go a lot into this show. And this is when you see, at the corner, some coral-looking things, is where, how can I create something when I don't have the expertise? So I have to work with a very different sculpture and collaborate with him and put together to create unique objects that looks really alien, that looks really sci-fi. And his work really created an additional kind of mysterious, the mystery to the garden. So there are sculptures, there are different things, the lightings, that I have to work with, and even how to create certain things I never created before. And this is where the image. I think everyone can remember this part where the final battle happens. All these structures hanging and where the whole war scenes actually happen. This is what I want to really mimic and have these structures overhanging to create a sense of awe and something overwhelming. And how to create that is really through our basic knowledge, the knowledge that I have as a landscape architect. What can grow on top of these things? These are natural bugs. And before the image, you can see it's pure frames. There's engineering calculations, and then there's foam attached to it, and then there is this wire mesh attached, wrapped around it. And then using plants, live systems to clad it on top. And this thing actually grows. It grows so well that it keeps thriving. All you need is to have water on it. And of course, I also created this giant kaleidoscope because my garden, this avatar garden, is a theme of the Pandora box. When it's open, there is the good side and the bad one. And this is the kaleidoscopes that really shows you a different side of world, the world of hope. And you can look into that 8 meters long kaleidoscopes and you can see works of projections by this artist. So that kaleidoscopes really created a magical effect because it's a projection screen from the back, and with the reflection of the 3 triangles, how people actually perceive the space is really amazing. And this is, again, something that I brought along as a landscape architect. You have to know the system, and what really works is using the carpet. This is the carpet that is clad around. Knowing materials is very important because the carpet absorbs water, and when it absorbs water, you actually can clad a plant onto it, and it actually survives. Again, at the end, you can see this. how you have to draw the entire kaleidoscope using a chalk, and where the plants goes is really, the final product, it will look totally different. And this is where the audience can really view through the kaleidoscope and see the projections. So imagine, as a kid, we played with small kaleidoscope, and this is the big one, 8 meters long. Now, in 2012, because of my first winning Gold and Best of Show, I came back again to do this one. And again, I won Gold and Best of Show. So I'm very lucky because it becomes a passion and something that I really enjoy. I did not go in to say that I want to win a show. I go in because I want to create something different. And this is a show I created especially for kids because I like to bring, I like to my audience to be, more of the children to look at my gardens. And when you place people, as important, and when you place your design for the people and not for yourself, you will get also breakthrough results. So again, with the 100 square meters plot, which is only a 10 by 10, I decided to put 5 fairy tales in one garden. And this is a design boundary which I pushed myself, the limits I pushed. Because 100 square meters is not big. To have 5 fairy tales in one, you have to play with techniques. And this is when, the first one you saw is the 7 dwarfs. This is the Thumbelina. This is Alice in Wonderland. This is Pinocchio. Oh, I didn't show Red Riding Hood. Okay, of course, everything started off on drawing. You have to draw, sketch out things that you want to do. And very often, I hope not the designers nowadays do not just go straight to computer. Please have the skills to really pencil, sketch, doodle, whatever, because that is very crucial. In fact, to me, I think that's critical. Nothing beats hand sketching, and it works faster than you do it on the computer. Okay. Maybe also, I'm not sure did I share about my background. My background before I became a landscape architect, I studied architecture. Before that, I did freelance in graphics. I did interior design before. So I like to do sculptures. I like to do paintings. So my field as a kid, and how I actually become a landscape architect have been coming from a lot of skills that I honed over the years. And this is when all these skills and why I presented my presentation today this way is really learning from the past what the things has given me. And make it simply to let you know, it is the different mindset, the different expertise that we need to know as a designer. So the Garden of Tales, of course, to submit to the organizing committee, you have to do up your little sketch to something, more conceptual for them to understand. And then, again, how do I start to think about certain techniques of putting things together? This is a paper tool technique. A paper tool where you actually layers different things and put it into a frame, and it seems like the things pops up, like a 3D effect. And again, images, I like to use images because that is a quick way where you can get certain inspiration. But again, be careful. Do not use images or inspiration literally in transforming your product into something what you want to create. And from some of these images, it has given you that really effect of the lightings, and this is where you can start to ask yourself, how can you create your garden such that it looks like that, or it looks differently, or it looks even better than that. And of course, ideas from the Alice in Wonderland, the movie. So there is a lot of prototyping, there is a lot of things, experiments I need to do. I need to work with different people, creating a bridge that seems like it's in a perspective, but actually is, it is designed in such a way where the bridge cannot be walked on, and how it complements with other features as well. I have to design the gate and get the gate manufacturer to understand certain steel works as well. And of course, the whole story about the different fairy tales comes together with a little quotes in there for the children to read, at least to let them know what fairy tales am I framing? See, the idea and the technique of putting these 5 fairy tales together is really to create a sense of illusion. Why I say that? The space is restricted, and in order to create the space expanded, I have to understand the transition and the scale of the plants from very small to very big. So to create like a mountainscape, I have to ensure that there's something behind. There is like a smaller scale of finer details. As the thing comes forward, your tree starts to be bigger. So there's a lot of precision in where you place certain things, and also why I have the frames. The frames is really to allow or to guide people how to view your gardens. So there are different techniques of how we do certain things, or techniques employed in your own field, how you want to guide your audience in using certain products as well. And these are some of the details where, okay, this is a 1,000-year-old olive trees brought in from the Mediterranean. So this garden itself, I have to go to different countries, source for different things, and to be a designer, you really have to understand, know your product, or be resourceful, because you alone, and even with the resources around you, may not give you the product you want. So I have one 1,000-year-old olive tree, 2 600-year-old olive tree, and 1 300. And then the product comes from different places like US, Australia, and I have to go to even Indonesia to manufacture certain things. Up to certain products, it's like a furniture show. You really have to customize how your frames look like. The frames that you saw just now, maybe one of the details, like that. You have to tell them how you want the frames to look. So you have to really go into all these different things. And the fireflies. I actually created fireflies that kind of comes alive. Of course, it's not real fireflies. It is something that uses a very thin wire, a very different kind of technology in the lighting, the LED. And I have to even learn electrical connections such that you know how to activate that, and for the for the audience to activate that themselves. Yep. All the 7 dwarfs have to be created, sculpted in a different country. Pinocchio, you need to source for that. So there are a lot of details in this whole garden, which is only, as I said, 100 square meters. And even this hat, I bought it from Disney, from order online. That's why, good thing is nowadays, if you don't have certain things, you go online, sometimes you're lucky to find some. But to me, these are props. The real thing is really how the other things you really put your hand and get yourself dirty to putting the whole show together. So, having said all this, how do we differentiate ourselves? As a designer, how do we differentiate ourselves? Have you even tried Google your name and see what you get? How many of you have done that? Okay, thank you. I have some of people who have done that. And what does it come out? Does it come out your name, your work, or anything? So, just for example, landscape design. If I'm going to Google that, what do we get? It's all these things in these noises of the same products that people see. So if you're in this field, then you make sure either yours is inside and yours is inside and stands out. Okay. Likewise, if I go into Google beetle, what do you think will come out? Bugs and a car. So it depends what you really want to differentiate yourself and how you differentiate yourself. Is it through your skills, through your product, or through your process? And if you look at the example, did an entomologist just turn a car designer? Because, okay, entomologist is someone who studies insects. Okay, so I'm just trying to give you a very quick analogy or a quick example of how we think about certain things a certain way. And if you tend to think the conventional way, everyone else does that. So how do you really stand out? If you look at the gardens I designed the 2 shows, the kind of expertise I brought together is really like cinematography. I really need to kind of study a little bit understand, how to frame things, how angles move, the storytelling, the sculpture, electrical, lighting, special effects, sci-fi, all these things. That are probably even more than that. And the mindset, that is very important. Okay, the expertise is more of the technical part. Mindset is the part that gives you creativity. Mindset is the part that really allow you to think what your audience might not have seen before, or what your audience think they might have seen before. Say the mindsets of a movie director, storyteller, artist, a child, of course the jury panel. I need to know what the judges look out for. A scientist even, an inventor probably. And then of course myself, my own line, the landscape architect. And what causes design failure? We design the product and then we say, this product or this thing doesn't work. When I say it doesn't work, it doesn't mean it doesn't work functionally. But it doesn't work means it doesn't stand out, and it's like along with other designs, it's so common. So did we forget to design the process? That is a question that's very important that we need to ask. So, for any process, if we have a very standard pathway to going from one end to the other, yeah, I mean that is definitely a process to guide you. But be aware, inside any part of the process, you have to change constantly. So you can have a very standard process, yes, but especially during the brainstorming, during the design ideas gathering, something has to change. Because conventional process kills great ideas. And you can really see why designers should not be ISO certified. You know what is ISO certified? I'm not sure anyone knows. When you go into a product line, a manufacturer, you want to be ISO because you have this, this process, you stick to it every time and you give you certain quality. Okay, to me that is quality for product and the way, the downstream part. But I advise that, as designers, don't go for that. It really ties you down and then you will not have breakthrough. So, ask yourself, in your area of work, as a designer, what expertise can bring together in the realms of action, in the realms of process? Okay, be it a fashion designer, graphic designer. And what mindsets can bring together in the realms of output, which is the final product. Maybe I would like to know or have a show of hand, how many of you here are in the line of landscape? So, okay, can I take it that none is in the line, which I'll be happy to hear, because if, maybe I can see one or two familiar faces, okay? But I'll be happy to hear if, a lot of you are not, because this is what you should do, and this is what I advise, my guys, my design guys, my members, to go for talks that is not in your same field. When you get ideas, don't go to the same field you're doing. Like if you go for graphic design, go beyond what the profession is. Go beyond what you can create. Like for myself, I like to look into the fashion part. I like to look into the games, the movies to get ideas. Because if you're just going to go into other people's landscape design and flip journals along those lines, you will not have breakthrough ideas. So bear in mind that one. And remember, everything begins with a possibility, your possibility of what you want to create. It may start off very small, okay? Your possibility could be, oh, you want to create something great, like, a fantastic car design. But remember, with the possibility comes your creativity and the design as a process and also an output. So, when you start to do that, your possibility will become real and become bigger, because you are not doing something just on one end or the other, you are actually doing both. And this is when I want to remind everyone, behind any great ideas, there is a process and there is different mindset and expertise I would like you to take along. So with that, I thank you, and any questions?